Today we discuss why content marketing is important for your business. Developing content can be a challenge and time-consuming, but in today's episode we'll give you a better understanding of when you should hire a content marketer for your business and how to budget properly.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. I am Bill with W. Parmentier Photography.
I'm Justin of Justin Kerr Design.
I'm Alicia with the Spark Social.
And together we make up
The
Marketing Essentials team. All right, so today we're here to talk about content marketing. We have a guest, Aileen McDonough. Welcome, Aileen.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So a little bit about Aileen, and then I'll let you take the wheel. Aileen has been in the word business since she won the citywide spelling bee in 5th grade. She's originally from Connecticut, but now here in Little Rhodey with us. And she has 2 decades of experience in writing, editing, marketing, and publishing. So her experience ranges from writing, editing, and sales and marketing to the production process. And she's been published in the Rhode Island Small Business Journal, and her pieces can also be read on medium.com. So Aileen, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
So content marketing, you are with 3 AM Writers. I don't think I got to mention that in your little bio, in the bio intro, but can you tell us a little bit about 3 AM Writers and the type of content that you work with clients on?
3 AM Writers is my own company. I am a writer, editor, and content marketer, and we've been in business for almost 14 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Holding steady.
Yeah.
I've been, as you said, I've been in the business. I've been a writer for my whole life, but I've also been in publishing, and so I have 2 decades of experience. 3 AM Writers is basically about creating great content and being part of creating great content. You know, with the advent of the web, it's easier than ever to become your own publisher. And that means that, there's a wonderful democratic piece to that, which means that everybody can create content, but that also means that everybody can create content.
Because not everybody can do it well.
Exactly. Hence our company.
I have to ask because it's a great name.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, and I'm sure there's a story behind it.
Oh, yes. When I started my company, my children were babies. And I had 2 baby/toddler children and a dog, and 3 a.m. was the only time it was ever quiet in my house. So I did do a lot of my writing at 3 a.m.
That's awesome.
At that time. I don't do that anymore as much, but I still am kind of a night person, so it fit with
That's
not
more
only...
like 11 a.m. writers.
Yes, like a 3 p.m. writers after a nap. But at that time, that was really the only time it was quiet, so that's where we came up with the name.
I'm sure a lot of business owners can relate to that too, because at the end of the day, when you're done running your business, it seems like middle of the night, 3 a.m. is like when you're getting to the marketing of your business.
Yes.
On that note, what is content marketing? Because it's kind of like a catchphrase almost, or it gets thrown around a lot, and everybody's like, I need content. But content marketing, what does that mean to you and to 3 AM Writers?
Well, what it means to me is that you're creating your own content. You're your own publisher of content. And that can mean written content, that can mean video content, that can mean images. But really, you're creating this content or curating it and putting it out there to market your business. Okay. That's in a nutshell.
And why is it important to have content? In today's day and age, I think, we look at social media, digital, and you started 14 years ago, so you've probably seen the way content was produced, shared, published change. Do you think it's more important now than ever to have content, or has it always just been important, and with social, it's just more prevalent to have content?
I think it's always been important, but it's definitely evolved over time. When I started my business, I was still telling people, oh, you don't need to be on Facebook. And I wasn't wrong. That's how quickly things have changed. Yeah. It evolved so quickly. And what I find for why you would need content, why you'd need to produce your own content, is the reasoning behind that is that you are the one who controls your messaging and your story as a company owner or as an individual, whatever you're trying to market. You have the opportunity to do that yourself. So why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. I mean, why wouldn't you take that opportunity and say, well, this is my story, this is my product, and have that opportunity to talk about it in exactly the way you want to say it and to get it out there. And I think content marketing is important also because it goes hand in hand with other types of marketing. So other channels of marketing are all fed from content marketing. So if you think about social media, the first thing that happens when you hire anybody for social media, or even digital marketing, if you hire somebody to do your SEO, the first thing they're going to ask you is, well, what is your content like? Mm-hmm. So it all flows from that. If your content is bad, you're going to have trouble with every other piece of marketing that you do. It all emanates from that.
So this could be content for your website, for your blog, but also for written pieces. Mm-hmm. So brochures or flyers, things like that.
Even a letter.
Yeah.
I mean, even a letter that you put out there is a piece of content marketing. Even a press release now can be part of content marketing. It all kind of comes back to that. So if that doesn't work, then very little else is going to.
So, and you mentioned, you said SEO, mm-hmm. and so search engine optimization. Would you say when you write, does the content take a focus for keywords or just more like user experience, or is it a mix of both for online?
Well, we try to balance it because we don't write for bots, we write for people. Sure. So I think that's another important thing. I think for a while there was a trend in search engine optimization where people were just keyword stuffing. So you could just kind of hire anybody to do that. But in the end, it swung back around, and now Google and other search engines are at the point where they can tell if you have bad content, and that will hurt you in the rankings.
So they're rewarding you for doing it the right way.
Yes.
Okay.
I would want to know if, in addition to helping your clients with their content, do you help them shape their voice at all?
Yes, I do. I've worked with some great agencies and learned a lot about branding in the past several years. I've worked with some great agencies in New York that focus on specifically branding. So I can sit down with a client and really take them from the brand and the original story and the messaging on through till the end execution.
That's great. Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, you know how to bring it back around to branding.
Of course you did.
That's why.
I would expect nothing less.
Well, that's really important, and I'm glad you asked about that because I think a lot of people think of branding as a logo, and I think that's, of course, probably the most important part of it because that's what everyone sees.
Sure.
But you know that if you have a logo out there but you don't have any messaging behind it, you don't know the story behind it, it's just not going to be as powerful.
Right.
The content behind it and the messaging, if it's good, will amplify the logo, and people will get the full picture and the full story. So it really goes hand in hand. And I love working with designers to create logos and messaging together and collaborate on that because I think it's just so much more powerful.
Sure.
Agreed.
So when someone's looking at your logo and then going over to the content, everything should resonate. There should be a consistency in voice and tone. And I like that point you made a lot because people don't think of bringing branding into words. They think about it as colors, visuals, and then they forget that my blog should resonate with my ideal client, and it should hit on that voice. So you work with clients so that they're getting that more in-depth and less cookie-cutter experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
when it comes down to it, you're going to be the one that tells your story. Mm-hmm. And that's what I try to help people do, is help people tell their story, tell the story of their business, tell the story of their brand, and do it in a way that resonates throughout everything that they do. And it just keeps amplifying and echoing, and then it becomes more and more powerful as you go on.
So if a business wanted to get started with content, because it's pretty obvious you need content. You can't have a website without content. Mm-hmm. You should have a blog. I think, too, the way people shop now is a little different. They want to Google stuff. They want to understand. They want to read and then come in for the sale. They don't want to be sold. They want
your story.
Yes, they want to know, and they want to hear it from you, and it helps you appear as an authority. However, if a business wants to get started with content marketing and maybe they're not ready to work with a professional yet, can they DIY their own content?
I think that people can. I mean, I don't think that everybody has to hire a content marketer or a content writer. I think it depends on three things, though. There's sort of a three-legged stool here. And if you don't have all these three things, then you're not going to work.
The stool's going to fall over.
You're not going to do your own content. It's just not going to happen. I always say you need skill, time, and desire. Now, most people probably have maybe two of the three.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't have that third piece, and the stool falls down. So maybe they have the skill. So, for instance, I deal with a lot of lawyers. And lawyers are very skilled at writing. Now, a little sidebar to that is that writing law briefs is a lot different from writing web content, but they do know how to write. So, okay.
I liked your pun there too, the sidebar.
Yes, sidebar. We'll give them that. But what will happen is they might have the desire and they might have the skill, but they don't have the time. The time usually is the caveat that holds most people back. Mm-hmm. But you also might have somebody that says, well, I actually have time because I'm just beginning to market my business, and I really want to tell my story, but their skill level is low, so the content they put out is poor, and bad content can actually be worse for you than no content at all.
Oh, wow.
So really, it's important to have every piece of that, and the fact is that most people don't. Mm-hmm. So usually if I sit down with someone and they're just telling me that it's not within their budget at that point, or they're not ready to work with somebody, I just kind of sit tight, because in about 6 months of trying to do it themselves, they'll be begging to to hire someone. It's too much. It's an entire job on its own. And most people, once your business starts growing and changing and evolving, you don't have time for that.
And when you say bad content can actually hurt your business, do you mean from just like it looks poorly when someone's coming into the website, or can it actually hurt your business like for rankings and things like that?
It absolutely can hurt your business for rankings. So I will tell you a little story. I had a potential client. Actually, they were a family member, and they had been working with me on their web content. And moving forward, I gave them a proposal to do some blog content for them. And they actually were approached. They were approached by like a content mill. Someone who said to them, "We're gonna give you all this content. We're going to give you 4 articles a month for like some outrageously low sum, like $200 or something like that." Now, I know that nobody can produce good content for that. I just know that. I mean, maybe some people can, but you're not going to be able to take the time you need to, the research. You're not going to be able to do all that. So I knew that, and I said, okay, well, I totally respect that you have a budget, and if you want to give them a whirl, you should do that. And again, it's family, so I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So I said, but this proposal stands, and if you want to, work together, I would love to, and et cetera, et cetera. So they ended up, hiring the other company. They went a few months, and then we sat down just to check on some other related projects. And I said, I just want to show you something. I took a line from their content, cut and pasted it, copied and pasted it, threw it into Google, and found that they were using the exact content for, I want to say we had like 500 results.
Ouch.
I mean, some number that was so insane and ridiculous that it just didn't even make sense. Now, if you find the same results, there are only so many ways to say things. So, you might find the same results maybe on a couple sites.
Yeah.
But to find hundreds of results. In fact, the first page, there were people in the same business, obviously, because it was an industry piece, that were literally in the same state and in the same city, some cases blocks away from this client.
So basically this, either this content writer who was promising the world for 200 months was maybe they were just writing the same blog for everyone, or just stealing, basically plagiarizing.
Or stealing, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, which you can get dinged for. And Google will definitely bring you down in the rankings. Mm-hmm. So if you're only doing it for SEO, then literally you just lost first of all, content like that from a content mill like that isn't going to be very good. So you've already lost out on, the basic value of content, which is that people are going to read it and it isn't going to engage them. So if you're just saying, okay, well, this is just a cheap thing I'm doing and I'm doing it just for SEO, you're not even getting that value.
Yeah. And I think it takes away from the authority too. If somebody's coming to your website and they're reading this blog that they've seen the same content somewhere else, and there's no voice at this point. It's just that like the content mill. It's just the cookie cutter plug and play content. What are they really getting from it? So it's like, you paid $200, but why even bother? Just keep the $200.
At that point, keep your $200 and just maybe write one blog article a month yourself, And so I think that's an important point, that content marketing, I will not lie, it's costly. Like you are hiring a writer. You are hiring somebody to research and write and interview, and there's so many aspects to it depending on the kind of article we're writing. So what I try to say to clients is, I'm going to give you a package, and that's your best case scenario. But if this doesn't work for you, then tell me what will. Or pick out, let's work together and figure out what your top priority is. Is it the blog? Is it social media? What piece of content really is your biggest priority, and what is your budget? And then I can tell you what I can do for that. Because there's a huge range of things that can be done for content along a spectrum that runs from, like maybe just under $1,000 a month to like $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that's what gets intimidating for people. I mean, certainly there are big companies that are hiring content writers and paying a lot of money. But I think that for small businesses, it's just important to know what your actual budget is or what you can handle, and what your priorities are, so that we can work together to figure out how we prioritize and how we get the projects done for you that you need.
Well, I think it's so hard for all of us being in the marketing industry. So Aileen is a writer in content. Bill does photography. Justin does branding and consulting. And I'm in social media. And, I think you see these prices. So say you're a business and you go out for a quote and you get these prices, and it's literally like it seems like you're getting the same thing, like, 10 pictures and 3 locations or something, I don't know, for this price, and then you're getting it for this price, and then the discrepancy in price can range so much. And it's like, well, if you wanted to get a quote for your house and it's the same scope of project, a kitchen remodel or something like that, and there was a range and scope of price from like $1,000 to $20,000, wouldn't you be like, something seems wrong here?
That's right.
But
I know,
in
you and I have talked about
I'd go
this.
for the 1,000 all day long.
Yeah, you might not end up with cabinets, but
But you'll have a hole in the wall,
It's cardboard cabinets.
yes, yeah,
It's okay.
like the ones
Just
you
a
had
big
as
hole
a
in
kid.
just a big hole in your house, yeah. Well, you and I have talked about this, Alicia. Like, here we are, we're in the marketing, and it's a very creative industry, and pricing gets creative as well. So some people, some people, for whatever reason, are valuing themselves at the low end. Now, you don't know whether they're really awesome and just valuing themselves low, or whether they don't know what they're doing, and that's why they're valuing themselves low.
Very true.
So you don't know whether they're valuing themselves low or whether the service is just low value.
Yeah, more times than not, it's the low value service, but
That's
I agree
been my
with you.
experience.
Yeah, mine too.
And I've worked with so many web developers, web designers, like so many other professionals in this industry that I know at this point, if somebody says to me, oh, I can do it for this, and goes to me a really cheap price, I already know that they don't know what they're doing. I already know they don't know what I want, because if they are that cheap, then they don't know all the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I 100% agree.
And then they end up resentful, and that's not a good relationship, and they don't stay in business long is the other thing. I find that, if someone is saying to me, well, I can get it for a lot cheaper, this person will do it for me a lot cheaper. I said, you're going to be back in 6 months. You can, again, your budget, you need to do what you're going to do. But these people
Typically at those prices, they don't stay around long either, too.
They don't, because they can't afford it.
Exactly.
So they disappear, and you're left with a big mess to clean up.
Sure.
Yes,
It's going to
that's
cost
the
them that
best.
much more on the opposite end, too. Because
Well,
now you
yes.
got to go clean up the mess on top of, instead of starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Or
starting
even
from the beginning, I should say.
even worse, like I don't know if it happens in photography, but in social media and maybe in content, they're like, well, I tried that and it didn't work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're like, oh, well, you tried that and you had like the worst blog ever and it didn't get you any traffic. It didn't get any engagement. But now you think content marketing doesn't work or something like
Yes.
that. Have you had clients come in with that negative experience?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have clients come in and they get burned because they don't know a lot about the industry. So they get what they think is content marketing and social media management, engagement and design and photography. But you look at it and you know right away, no. This
not
was
right.
not a professional level service that you got, and I am so sorry, but now we've got to fix it. And it's hard because you now have to rebuild that trust.
Sure.
Very true. Yeah. And so with content marketing, what should a company look for when they're going out getting these quotes? Obviously, be wary if you're getting a quote that is promising you everything and it's super low. But in terms of like working with that content marketer, Aileen, what are the strategies? What is it that the questions that the content marketer should be asking? How do you spot a good content marketer, basically?
There's about 8 different questions.
I know.
I do that.
That was impressive.
Answer any one you want.
I think how to spot a good content marketer is it's really looking at your relationship with that particular writer or that particular content marketer. It's seeing whether you have a good connection. It's looking at the samples that they're giving you. Like you should be able to look at the different samples and know that they can handle your industry, that they can handle, or if they haven't done your industry before, that they've got demonstrated expertise that will help them handle your industry. So for instance, I don't have a niche per se. I like to say my superpower is distilling really complex topics into in interesting and engaging terms for laymen. So that means I end up doing a lot of really sexy topics like risk management and compliance. Ooh. I know.
Wait a minute. Sorry.
I know. But I love it. I actually geek out over it because to me it's interesting. To me it's a real challenge that I want to wrap my brain around. So I get excited about it. So you want somebody who has that excitement. You want somebody who's just as excited about your business as you are. I think that enthusiasm cannot be I think, and it can't be replicated. So, you might get people who are kind of like, well, we write a lot in the industry, and if you feel like a lack of energy from them, like they're kind of ho-hum, then your content's going to be ho-hum and boring too.
Makes sense.
So I think there's that piece of it, and those are kind of esoteric ways of looking at it. But I think you can also look at, again, their samples. You can see whether they have a good quality of content out there. You can see whether they know what they're doing and have basic writing skills. Have somebody look at their content and say, does this interest you? Does this make you want to buy or engage or answer questions or do something with this? Does this make you want to take the next step? So I think it's that, and I think it's also not being afraid to ask questions, about that person's experience and about, what their plan is. Ask them what their process is. This is an important question for me when I'm vetting people in creative, is to say, what is your process? Because I know I have a process. And if someone is saying something to me like, oh, well, I just kind of like wait for inspiration to come to me. Like, that doesn't work in the real world.
It's not really a process, yeah.
Do you have 6 months or a year to wait?
Yes, I know.
You make a great point, though, because a lot of people will spend time looking at reviews for a restaurant if they're trying to decide where to eat, or they'll do infinite amount of research if they're buying, they're getting a new pet, but they won't put the same amount of effort into something that's an investment in their business. Like
well, especially when it's under a creative type of thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't value the creative end of it unless we explain to them what the creative end of it is.
Yes.
They look at it, I can only speak from my field, but how hard is it to take a photo? Well, yeah, that's great, but you're not taking into account everything that goes behind it.
Yes.
How hard is it to make a logo? I can get one $5 on Fiverr.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how's that going to work for you?
I mean, that's another, I wanted to ask you, how do you present yourself in a way that's not seen as just a commodity?
Sure.
I mean, that's certainly the challenge with creative, especially with all of the different, Fiverr and all the different ways to make creative into a commodity. But what I try to do is, tell clients this is a relationship. Like, this is not just, I'm not going to just sit in my hovel and pump out content for you. We're going to talk. We're going to sit down. This is an ongoing process.
That's when they get the shock look on their face, like, wait, I have to do something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's definitely that. Yes.
Like,
but I try to say,
involved.
like, in the end, it's going to be easier for you, and I promise you will enjoy this. I swear. I try to make it as pleasant as possible. But that this is something where, and I will tell people, I love to collaborate. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you want your story to be about. And usually, like, if I sit down with somebody for an hour, by the end, I've got their story. And you can't get that on Fiverr.
No.
Very true.
No.
No.
So not to bash Fiverr because,
No,
they're trying to make a living too. But
It's
We can bash Fiverr. That's okay. We're kidding. I'm kidding.
Fiverr
unless
is,
they need content. Fiverr, are you
Fiverr
listening?
is
I'll write your
fine.
content.
I have told clients that it's fine to use Fiverr, and if you want McDonald's to cater your wedding, you can do that.
That's right.
So,
It's their choice in the end.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Sure.
what ends up, really it's your choice.
but
As a
they have
business
to know
owner.
what they're
Okay.
choosing.
Yes.
Oh, it's like when I was doing weddings. Somebody would say, "Hey, I got this person that offered to do it for $100.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are your family memories. Are you going to want
Your
to trust
most
them to somebody?"
important day of your entire life.
Exactly. Do you want to trust that for a $100 photographer?
Yes. And with your business, think about your business and the kind of value that it has and the kind of value it's going to continue to have if you build it right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I try to position content always as an investment because it's something that once you create it, it's yours. When I create content, my clients own it. It's theirs. So once we create that, you own that forever, and there are so many things you can do with it. Take like a 300 to 1,000 word blog. There are so many pieces you can pull out from that. And I try to talk to clients about that too. Like, we're creating something that can be multi-purposed for multiple channels of promotion forever.
Right.
There are certainly, things change in industries and we have to update things from time to time for technology and changes in your business. But most of the stuff we write is relatively evergreen, and with a few tweaks, you can use it forever.
Repurpose it on social media. You can break it into smaller segments.
Chunks here and there.
Right. You can turn it into a script for an explainer video.
Yes.
There's a lot of things you can do with it.
There's
it's
so
a really
much.
valuable piece of raw material.
Yes. So it's really, I talk about creating a bank of content that you can use forever and ever on end going forward. And I also use examples because I have some clients who I've been working with now for several years. I have several great ongoing clients. And so we have now at the point, I have one client at a car dealership, and we've created over 200 articles for them.
Wow.
So at this point, we don't even need to create new content for the most part. We just pull from stuff, from previous years, tweak it, spin it up, and put it out there. I have another client, an allergist,
People have short memories. I've repurposed articles that are just a little over a year old.
Yeah, you can do that. So I think that's also important to know that you're creating a bank of content that you can use, forever. With tweaking, obviously, and using it correctly, not just kind of trotting out the same thing and being boring, but realizing that you're creating something that has value going forward.
And then what is the end goal with content? What will it accomplish? If you really go in on a content marketing strategy, say they contact 3 a.m. and they're going forth, they have never done content marketing before, what do you feel like a good strategy will accomplish, a good content marketing strategy will accomplish for a business?
I think a good content marketing strategy is going to establish you and your business as an expert. It's going to give you that bank of content to draw from and promote for years to come. And finally, content is still the best bang for your buck when it comes to SEO.
Nice.
There just isn't anything that does it. You can't trick Google. You can maybe for a little while, but then they change the rules and that's it. And now you're on to the next strategy that you paid for. So you may as well have your strategy be something that has consistently over time been the thing that Google wants and that the search engines are highlighting and rewarding. Well,
I think it makes sense because Google wants to reward people who put in work and time, and anybody who's trying to get a quick win, they're not going to get the same type of payoff.
Gaming the system is only going to take you so far, and then you're going to be back at square one, and then you're going to have to fix it. So you may as well just do it right from the start.
In content, you can have your social media and you can have a YouTube channel, which helps with SEO or having your listings correct or setting up your title tags. But good content, like continuously publishing a well-written blog and keeping up with it, it's a lot of work. And so they're rewarding you for that. So that does make a lot of sense. Very good.
It yields the returns for years to come.
Nice. And so I guess so we talked a little bit about DIYing it, but if somebody was ready to hire a content marketer, we talked a little bit about having the desire, the skill, and the time. How could they find you, Aileen?
Well, they can find me at my website, which is www.3amwriters.com, or they can email me at aileen@3amwriters.com. They could call me, but I'm much better by email.
Okay. The written word stands.
The written word is always the best, the best for me. Helps me track everything. And
we'll put your contact information in the show notes so that way if anybody does want to get hold of you. So.
Yeah. It was really great having you on the podcast today. It was
Thank you.
Very informative
Great to
and
be
a joy
here.
to talk to. And congratulations on that spelling bee win.
It's really yielded many, many returns in my life. So far.
That's awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And with that, we're done until next week, right?
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the podcast. And until next time,
See ya.
see ya.
Thank you for joining us today. And as always, you can find the back episodes of our podcast on Apple Podcasts. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Both of them are the Marketing Essentials team.
You can find us on the web at marketingessentialsteam.com. And if you subscribe through our website, you'll receive a weekly email and letting you know when each episode has been published. Also, you'll receive a link to subscriber-only content.
You can also find us on Facebook in our private Facebook group. Just search Little Roadie Marketing Support Group. It's a great place for other marketing professionals and business owners where we can share marketing advice, challenges, and general trends. Hope to see you there.